Some days being a content creator can actually be surprisingly difficult. I'm not talking about certain comments you sometimes get on the channel, I'm talking about the very act in and of itself. You've essentially taken something that you thoroughly enjoy and use as a way to unwind and instead turned that into your primary focus in life. That can be difficult, because if I try playing other video games, I feel guilty that I'm not playing the one I should be covering, and when I'm playing the one I should be covering, everything I do is about how can I make content out of this? How can I make content out of this? And you suddenly realize after weeks of doing this that you've kind of forgotten to even sit down and play the game. I don't want this to be a pity party though. I'm not starting this video with a, oh hey, look at me. I just want to kind of give a nice contrast, because sometimes being a content creator can be the absolute best thing you could ever imagine. You see, back in November last year, just before Christmas, I was sent an email by a guy called Shane, who said to me, I know you've been playing a lot of board games and card games recently, and you've been talking about these a bit more. Have you ever played the EVE collectible card game? No, I hadn't. I'd seen it in shops when I was a kid. It was right there next to the Magic the Gathering cards that I was buying. But I never got into it, I never tried it, despite the fact that it looked really, really cool. And obviously, as now an EVE fanatic, with the EVE collectible card game out of print, that's been a regret of mine for a long time. Well, said Shane, good news. I've got a load of cards that I'm not using, why don't I send them your way? And I was blown away by this act of kindness. Now the box finally arrived a couple of weeks ago, and I probably should have done this video earlier, but today I want to just showcase the EVE collectible card game, courtesy of Shane, and of course I've got one of the boxes, both of the boxes, upside down. I'm going to be opening up this one and showcasing what it's all like, doing a little bit of a box opening, and just talking about this card game and showing what it looks like, because it's really, really cool, and I might do some more videos in the future of actual gameplay and things like that. But before we go any further, I just also want to spend an even longer moment just to thank Shane even more, because it didn't stop at just putting the cards in the box, did it? No, he decided to make this an entire gift package. So we got an entire bag of these things called Smarties, and if you're American, you might know what these are. To me, Smarties are little chocolate discs coated in candy that you get in different colors. These are really nice. These remind me of what we call refreshers, and I like those a lot. We got some really cool glow sticks. Haven't had a chance to use these yet, but we have a couple of nights out in the future planned, and Carrie loves her glow sticks, so we'll see how that goes. Some jelly beans that, again, we've been saving for a special occasion. And the two best things, other than the cards, that came out of this box. First of all, Slim Jims. Now you can see that the top of the box is missing, so I'm going to put it sideways there to show. These are amazing. Genuinely, I'm not a fan of meaty snacks, but that's just incredible. Like, I could not believe how much I loved those. And the bit that genuinely teared me up quite a lot when I opened it was this. I tried drawing a really cool ship from EVE. Didn't work so well. It's an Amarr ship, it's the best I can do. Hope you like it, Zoe. And it's a Magnate. Now, I love the Magnate, it's one of the few Amarr ships that I really, really do like. And Zoe, it's really good. Thank you so much. I'm going to get this framed. This is going up on my wall, eventually alongside the EVE Echoes jigsaw when I finally get a frame for that as well. Really, thank you so much. And Shane, thank you for the gift package. The whole thing has just been mind-blowingly awesome. We've had so much fun with the cards, but otherwise, let's jump right into talking about it. So here we have the Great War box for the EVE the Second Genesis collectible card game. I haven't opened this one yet because I wanted to do this on camera just to showcase what it's all like. I do apologize for any sort of zooming issues on this. Obviously I am still using my phone for this, but here we go. One take, let's undo this and actually see what these are like on the inside. Brand new, unopened out of the shrink wrap, and there was a part of me that was thinking, you know what, wouldn't it be nice to keep these shrink wrapped because they must be worth something, considering these are now out of print, but online they're actually fairly cheap. It's the additional stuff that's kind of expensive. The starter decks are pretty, like, not too bad. So we got a decent quality box to put it all in. We're going to put that off to the side now though, and we come with two of the starter decks, in this case Caldari and Gallente, along with a rulebook and a load of ISK tokens. Now, somewhere on here, there should be one of those little rippy things. I can never find these. I may have to go and grab a knife. Oh, no, there we go. I think I've got something there that we can tear with. Ah! Oh, I may have to cut ahead on this bit. So I managed to create a hole at the top using the wonders of the human anatomy known as teeth. But there we go, like, let's open all of this now. Take off the shrink wrap, and we get yet more shrink wrap. So we've got our 2 starter decks, which are actually modular. You don't just use these, you can change them around and do some cool stuff with them. We then have here the ISK credits themselves. These just pop straight out of the cardboard, and you use these to represent how much ISK you currently have in your wallet, obviously in denominations of 1, 5, and 10. These do actually pop out really quite nice. I'll admit that on the other version, there were some that actually still had quite a lot of the white left around the edges. That's not going to focus properly, is it? This one's not too bad. You can actually see that it's fairly central, but some of the others really, like the punch was just massively off on the other one. Production value was a little bit low on those, but hey, they are just tokens, and quite frankly, you could use tokens for anything else. Let's move the decks out the side, have a look at the rulebook. Now, I actually kind of like this rulebook. It's fairly concise, and not only that, it actually has a decent amount of lore in it as well. There's enough about the history of the EVE universe, then you get into the actual rules of how this is played, and I'm not gonna lie, it is a complex game. It took us about 3 rounds to fully understand what was going on, 3 actual games to fully understand what was going on. Obviously, in modern times, you might have like an app or a series of YouTube videos that show you how all this works, and this is actually available, obviously, online as a PDF as well, if it's something that you're interested in just checking out and finding out like how these rules work. I can't put a link to the description below because I'm not certain on the legalities of that, but do check it out. I'll just do a Google search for like EVE 2nd Genesis collectible card game rulebook PDF. Anyway, these are going to take me a second to unwrap. Oh no, I found the tag on this one. That's actually amazing. There we are. So let's have a look at the Caldari State one first of all. Oh, so much plastic. There we are. The environmentalist in me is screaming, but hey, it's Caldari. What do you expect? Cool, so we have our starter base, a venal tower, which is one of the different stations you'll be using. This is your main side. This is how it starts the game. Your star base, that's your defense. So this one has 7 shields. You get 2 ISK per turn, infinite upgrades, and it gives you a nice little turn order here to help you learn the game. During the game, you do get to swap these over, flip them over at certain points if you want to pay the cost to upgrade your starbase, and it will do things like this one says, players whose starbases have been upgraded may draw an extra card during their draw phase. Nice good reason for that. But later in the deck, there will actually be alternative starbases. I think they're at the back here. Yeah, there we are. 2 alternative starbases that you can use. So we've got the Venal Tower. You could also go for a Precognition Tower or a Mogul Tower. That allows you a little bit of versatility when playing with this deck. Next up, we also have, let's put these off to the side, the outer areas, outer regions. Here we've got Moon of Undoria, Cloud Ring, and Society of Conscious Thought. These get played into the game and anyone can actually access them, but every deck must have at least 3 of them. So you get 3 in there to start with. You'll also notice the back of these have the logo this way around, which denotes that they are clearly the outer regions. Same if we have a look here, you can see there are a couple of spare outer regions again at the end of the deck here. If I turn these around, you'll see they are all outer regions that you can play or modify your deck with. A deck must have exactly 3 of these, so you can take the ones that we've already just looked at and drop them out for things like Heaven, Gununga Gap, the Eve Gate itself. There's an actual card for that here. Scalding Pass, obviously that's home for me in EVE Echoes. Heaven there, lots of different versatility there on how you build your deck. Let's put those off to the side. As for the actual cards themselves, let's have a look. So we've got some resources that we can play into systems, obviously Veldspar being the most common thing ever. Plagioclase, Interstellar Trading Posts can be added. Got some Omber for mining, Sanchez Scout Outposts, Echoes of Gloom Bay, Remote Research Facilities, and then we come to the ships. I'm not going to spend too much time looking at the resources and the upgrade materials because let's be honest, everyone wants to see the ships. And you'll notice that these are the old style ships. This is before CCP updated a lot of the graphics. So obviously you and I aren't used to seeing a Griffin look like that. We've got the modern Griffin, which honestly looks much, much cooler. And if you were to go through these cards, like going through the Minmatar ones, looking at some of the things like the Stabbers have changed a lot over the time, as has things like the Slasher is another one that's using its old graphics in there, and the Probes. But you've got the Griffin, we've got the Kestrel, that's one that hasn't changed much over the years. You can see it's still got that really cool sort of standard design on there. Up here, these are your strength, how much damage you do, and your shields, so 2 resist and, well, 2 shield and 2 damage this will do. It also has the ability to be to set up an ambush. So basically, I can move this into an area, and I put it into its ambush mode, and by turning it sideways so that ambush is shown at the top here. And you'll see here it says that at the beginning of the withdraw step, this ship can deal 4 damage to an attacking ship. So it can actually pull away out of a region and still do 4 damage to anything that attacks it, which is actually pretty scary. The Griffin also has ambush and patrol, and patrol is kind of a tanking kind of thing. At the beginning of the target step, up to 1 target attacking ship of your choice must target this ship if able. Now you'll also notice that when we're looking at these ships, they have assemblies. One of the things I really like about the EVE TCG is that you don't just play a card and it goes onto the table. They often have to assemble. So small ships like these, they come out with assembly 1. That means it goes into your dock and it has 1 turn that it needs to assemble. Basically, next turn it will assemble and be ready. If it's assembly 2, it will go down, and then at the beginning of your next turn it will turn to assembly 1, and then at the beginning of your next turn it will actually move into your dock for usage. Hopefully that makes sense. We've got the Badger. Again, that's another ship that's had a big graphical update. This one has trading and hauling capabilities. If it's trading during your draw phase, draw an extra card, then choose the card in your hand and place it on top of your market, so you get to move some of your cards around. Trading itself, though, is pretty cool. You can only trade in outer regions. At the beginning of your income, you gain an additional 2 ISK. And hauling, again, it can only haul in outer regions, but anyone mining there gets an additional +2 to their mining score, which is really, really powerful. We've got the Merlin there, which is a patrol frigate. The Ibis. Now, these are listed here as scouts, not as corvettes. Again, this has been upgraded graphically, obviously, since then. This is not what an Ibis looks like in EVE now, but I think that's still pretty cool. I actually quite like seeing these old school artworks and that on things. The Condor, everyone loves the Condor, super easy ship in this, just 2 attack and 3 defense. There's the Heron, one of my favorite ships in the game. Weirdly, this obviously doesn't have much in the way of exploration as a mechanic, so here the Heron is kind of like a tackle frigate with warp scrambling and target jamming. We're starting to get to some of the bigger ones now. The Blackbird, which is obviously the covert ops cruiser. Again, that's had a big visual update to it. The Cormorant has had a bit of an update to it over the years. The Basilisk, which is a version of the Osprey, the upgraded Osprey, that's here as well with Retaliate. We've got the Ferox. There's a nice battle cruiser in there. It's not often you see battle cruisers in these. These are pretty rare cards. Then we have news. News are kind of cards that you can just kind of play whenever. So like an information at cost, ship computer glitches, target ship cannot warp, dock, or activate its commands. If it has an active command, deactivate it. And here, like assembly, you can see that this has duration 2. So you put this on the table, it starts at duration 2, it then rotates to duration 1, and then eventually disappears. So it shows you how many turns these things last for. And I really like that mechanic, and I'm amazed that other card games haven't pulled up on that. Some cool little new stuff going on here. Advanced shipyards, market research labs, Xeno research centers, and an EMP minefield to put onto your station or into, it's a starbase structure, yeah. So that goes onto your starbase for a nice bit of defense there. Very, very Caldari themed. Now, when I say Caldari themed, it's worth noting actually, if I spend a second. At the top left of each card, you have a racial logo. Not all cards have this, but most have some of them. Like here, the Griffin shows Caldari and Minmatar. This means you can only put it into a deck where you are using a Caldari or Minmatar station as your main defense, whereas some of these, like here, the Ibis actually has none on it at all at the top left there. That can go in any deck. Things like the Condor, that's Gallente and Caldari only, so on and so forth. So that's the Caldari deck. So let's kind of construct that back together, keep all those bits in one place. We're going to put that off to the side, and now let's see if I can open the Gallente deck as easily, and yes I can. It's actually got a nice easy tear away on that one too. Lots of plastic. Pop that off to the side. Okay, let's have a look. So right away we have our Gallente Starbase again here. Oh, I've got these backwards. There we are. So the one we're starting with is an Enthrallment Tower. You can see all Gallente Starbases look like this on one side. That is your default side and all that your opponent sees at the start of the game. Then obviously later on you can flip it. Here we have an Enthrallment Tower. We've got Innsmother, the how do I say that? The Tirijev Pocket, and the Carnid Kingdom. Obviously that's technically a Mar, but hey, you can use it in any deck. And again, if we go to the back here, we should have a whole load, there we are, of additional outer regions. We've got Lone Trek, which seems very Caldari, Metropolis, Malden Heath, Sanchez Nation, with a nice nightmare on the front of it, Serpentis Prime, Stain, and then 2 other stations, in this case the Dominion Tower and the Monopoly Tower. Cool. Monopoly Tower, everyone hates that one because you sit around for 4 hours until eventually someone wins, and it just sucks. That's a Monopoly joke, it's nothing to do with this card game. Then again, going through here, we have all of our resource cards that we can apply into regions and go mining with. Tourist Resorts feels very Gallente. Hemorphite, Crumbling Moons, some Scordite, Arcanor, and then we come to the ships. Again, the things that everyone actually cares about watching this. So we have the Mullis, starting off with some E-War frigates there with target jamming and patrol, quite a nasty little thing. The Incursus, that's still the graphics that we know and love. I actually really enjoy the Incursus in EVE Online and EVE Echoes, and you can see here, it's a nice versatile ship, can go into anything except a Minmatar deck, of course. The Velator, again, this is before it got its upgrade, and God, it was ugly back then too. The Atron, everyone's favourite hauling frigate. The Imicus, still as ugly as it has ever been. Goodness knows if they'll ever get around to changing that one. The Tristan, look at the plates on that, much, much smaller than it used to be, and as versatile in the card game as it is in the actual computer games as well. We've got mining as a capability, we've got ambush, and we've got patrol there. It is a 5-cost frigate, which is fairly expensive, but it's versatile. It does an awful lot of stuff. Just, that is really cool. I quite like that, the way to represent the Tristan. The Oneros, which again is a logistics cruiser. The Catalyst there, everyone's favourite ganking destroyer. The Execra, again for logistics there, although it's not actually shown as logistics on this. It is obviously in the game, but again, you can do this whole thing. As long as it's undocked, all enemy starbases cost 1 more to play. Lots of little things like that. And oh look, the Celestis, the ugliest chip in the game before, well, no, before anything, it is just the ugliest chip in the game. And then we have all our news encounters here. So no battle cruiser in this one. I said battle cruisers were a little bit rare in this card game, but yeah, none in this one either. We've got the Stubborn Mechanics, Damage Control, Mind Clash, which is a sport played in the Caldari state, the Armageddon Project, Center of Astrogeology, Legal Department, Sentry Guns, and Labor Quarters. And I really do love this game. Like, I've played a few rounds of this with my good friend Adam here. He's big on card games, has kind of forced me back into Magic the Gathering. It was also him who suggested I get back into Hearthstone. Him and I have played some games using the basic stuff here from the Minmatar and the Mar decks, and those are a lot of fun. I should probably go and grab those and showcase what those look like too. So the Minmatar and Amar decks, I've kind of modified these a little bit using a load of the spare cards, but as you can see, I've also shoved these into a little sort of, I don't know what you'd call that, Tupperware, I guess, just to keep things nice and safe. And hopefully these are going to be okay to see because they are sleeved. And, well, sleeves do that whole thing of being ridiculously shiny in the light, so we'll have to see. So we've got like the Minmatar stations here, which I've kept together all at the top so I can decide which ones I go into. Again, they're all different on the back there. Regions, we've kind of seen all the regions. There weren't that many different regions. Oh, the other thing of card backs is that they stick together like this. There we are. So we've got the regions out the way there. and then the actual ships and the deck itself. Now, this is obviously pretty shuffled as well, but there are some that I want to bring your attention to, like the Slasher. That is clearly not what Slashers look like anymore, thank goodness. It was an awful design that they have massively updated. Got the Burst in there. There's a lot of Angel ships I've added to this. There's the Cyclone, one of the few battle cruisers I have. Curiously, there was no Hurricane card. I'm not sure which year the Hurricane was added to EVE Online, but I assume it was added after this card game was released. We have the Rifter there. Obviously, there's going to be Rifters in here. In fact, I think I've got the full maximum of 4 in there, along with Thrashers. Thrashers are actually low-key really good in this. You can just pay ISK to blap everything in a region. Again, these are all really sticking together, so I might end up actually accidentally skipping some of them, but hey, there we go. Angel Vipers. Oh, would you look at that? It's a Drumiel, along with the Reaper and stuff like this. So there's a lot of Angel ships in here. The Rupture, again, low-key, really good card in this. Angel Haunter, which is a Cinnable variant. You'll see, obviously in EVE Online, you don't just get the 3 ships for each of the pirate factions, like, you know, it's Frigate, it's Cruiser, and it's Battleship. You also get these other ones in the middle as well. There's the Thrasher again, some more news encounters, an Angel Impaler, which is a ship that you will not see in EVE Echoes, but you do see in EVE Online, especially if you're going into things like the Abyssal Dead Spaces. You'll come across those from time to time. More Bursts, more Slashers, Plagioclase. Goodness me, everything really is sticking here together. It's been raining a lot recently and that moisture is clearly hanging in the air. Angel Raiders, again, some really cool artwork on that one there. As we go through, I'm trying to see if I've got a Stabber in here. I don't remember if I put it in here or not. I don't think I did in the end. It doesn't look like it. We might find those in a moment. And even some of the cards actually have like interior artwork, so that is technically a Drumiel pilot just sitting in the cockpit and doing what he does, because obviously he's not a Capsuleer. So that's the Angel Cartel side of things. It's a Minmatar deck, but using Angel Cartel cards as the predominant. They were added in an expansion, apparently, to the EVE CCG. This wasn't something that came in the standard deck. And then we have the Amar cards. Yay, filthy, god-fearing laser monkeys. Let's move those out the way and have a look and see what's in here. Now, this deck Adam is still working on. He's been playing as Amar because, of course, he has. I'm playing Minmatar, but he wants to, trick this out a lot more and play around with it. Now, that, as a Crucifier, that's the old-school Crucifier. If you actually look up images of that on Google, you'll see it almost looks like one of the droids from Star Wars Episode 1. It just makes me laugh. The new version of the Crucifier is such a great-looking ship compared to the old one. Things like the Inquisitor, the Tormentor. There's lots of really cool cards. He's actually added some of the Gallente ones in here again, because obviously it's got the Amar symbol at the top there. You can put it in the deck, so he's playing around with cross-factioning his deck a little bit. There's even a Mammoth in here. Can you believe that he's got a Mammoth, a Minmatar ship, and an Amar deck? Goodness gracious me, that just feels off. That just feels wrong. But there we are, it does have the Amar logo on it, so apparently the Amar can steal our Mammoths as well. The Punisher, really, really cool frigate, very useful, nice powerful frigate 3 and 5 with that patrol ability. I've had a lot of trouble with those in the games, along with some of the news encounters he's got in here. There's the Executioner again, just look at it, it's horrid. Absolutely horrid compared to what it looks like now, but there we go. Big updates graphically, obviously, in the game. Not recently, but since this was made. The eponymous Omen. Oh yes, again, really nasty ship in the game here. I've had a lot of trouble trying to take those out. I was hoping to see a Harbinger in here, but again, I just don't think the card for that actually exists. I have had a look at the full card lists online, and just I don't see those. But there we are, that's the Amar deck. Now, I'm obviously not going to spend as much time going through the additional pile of cards that Shane sent out to me, because it is just a wad, and this is literally about half of it. There's more on the shelf over to my right as I'm looking at it. Just so many cards were sent out, and I've had so much fun going through these, looking at the old artwork, looking at just some of the ships and some of the different cards, trying out different decks and playing around with stuff. There's a lot of really interesting stuff going on in here. I'm going to try and see if we can reach some of the pirates in here. We should have some of like I should have some Serpentis and some Gurustas in here as well. They are in here somewhere, I promise. I say that, they might actually be in the other in the other stack. But no, there we are, Serpentis Trucker. Blood Prophets. Ill-conceived announcements, Speaker of Truths. Let's kind of keep just going through here. The Stabber. There we are. Look at that. Just look at how sort of naked that ship looks by comparison. If you think that Minmatar ships these days look like they're held together by rust and good wishes, then they were worse. They were worse, and they've had such good graphical updates over the years. The Wreath. God, it looks awful. Hoarder, Reapers, keep going. There's the Vigil, that hasn't changed, nor has the Breacher, the Bellicose. Lots of Minmatar ships there. I'm just trying to see the Guristas battery. Maybe we're getting close to some of the pirates here. Oh, I hope so. I hope they're in this stack. I should have checked all this before recording this, really, shouldn't I? But there we go, Blood Templar. More Blood Raiders with the Destroyer there. Concord Sentinel. Basilisk the Raven, the only battleship I've actually seen in all of this. So that will probably end up going into the Caldari deck at some point because, yeah, why not? It's a battleship. You've got to kind of do at least one, really, haven't you? Concord Escorts, great ambushes, lots of really cool looking cards here at least. No, maybe it's in the other half of the stack. And hopefully it's not in the other stack over there. Let's just have a quick look. Sorry, my arms are hurting, so I'm resting them on the table now. Legal Department, Judgment Platforms, just going to scroll through this. Scroll through this, my goodness, look at me. Here we are, yep. Guristas Liquidator. I think that's the old Osprey? I don't know, actually. Some of these are pretty cool, like the Guristas Invader, that's an updated Heron, obviously with sensor dampening and mining. Guristas Wrecker, that's basically a worm, but we're using, I say a worm, that's probably then more like a Harpy or a Merlin. That's actually using the hybrid turrets there. Got some more Blood Raider stuff with the frigates. More Sanchez. There's no actual, I haven't seen any Sanchez cards in here, which is weird. Lots of Sanchez Nation kind of like regions and things, but none of their ships that I can recall off the top of my head. Oh, there we are, the Bantam. What on earth did they do to that thing back in the day? New graphics again, so much better. Blood Collectors, there we are again. That's the Crucifier. That's the Amarian E-War frigate. Remember how cool it looks in the game right now? And look at what it kind of looks like there. No, it's horrific. Absolutely horrific. But hey, let's keep going. Merlins, Herons, Griffins, Serpentis Sniper, Serpentis Safeguard, Serpentis Chief Watchman, Serpentis Defenders and Tristans, Kingpins. Lots of cool stuff going on with the Serpentis there. Blood Heralds, Blood Fugitives. Look, it took me a while to realize that that's the kind of the scout. It looks a lot more like sort of like a mini Macariel, which kind of caught me off guard the first time. Oh look, a Brutex battlecruiser. Keep that one to the side in case that goes in the Gallente deck later. The Iteron, Inferior Iteron, which I love. Iteron, Inferior Iteron. Like, who came up with that name? More Tristans, Velators, Maulus. Lots of cool stuff going there. Concord Special Ops. Like, again, like, what is that ship? What is that ship? Like, you just don't see that anywhere anymore. Anything else really of interest in this stack? I just kind of want to keep going through it just to showcase as much of this as I can, because the artwork's cool and there is so much variety in this game as well. It's just really cool. Micro Warp. There we are. Cormorants. Again, we've had a look at those. Guristas Plunderer in a Kestrel. Standard Coercer. Guristas Massacrer. Again, Guristas Battleship. I'm looking forward to actually playing with the Caldari deck and messing some stuff up and probably adding a Raven and a Massacrer in there because that just looks badass. Guristas Aggravator there with the old version of the Cormorant, the Badger Mark II, Badgers, Caracals. Again, this has had a graphical update since then as well. Look at that, it's just awful. Oh, I swear, the developers were originally on something when they were looking at some of these ship designs, and then they just went back and redid them and made them so much cooler. But there we are. Let's, yeah. I want to give a humongous thank you to Shane for this, because this is just an incredible amount of cards here. There is so much variety here. Yeah, there's a couple that are missing, especially out of the expansions rather than out of the core sets, but the game itself is so much fun. I've had so much fun playing with this and with my friends. using just the base decks, and then even more fun going through and actually tweaking those decks and putting like the different cards and that in here to sort of personalize that to something that I really enjoy. Obviously Angel Cartel, and I'm looking forward to doing a Gurustas Pirates deck as well. And if you enjoyed this video, well, first of all, hit like on it, let me know with a nice big old thumbs up, subscribe if you haven't already for all things EVE and space, and of course if you want to see more of this, hey, maybe I'll do a gameplay video of Adam and I actually, you know, playing this game together, sort of showcase what it's like, maybe even a getting started tutorial. Somewhere out there might be somewhere that you can actually print these cards and play them yourself. It's an out of print game. But again, you can find that there are quite a few sort of card collector stores online where you can buy this for literally like $8 for a starter set. And for $8, honestly, even just the starter sets I think are totally worth it. There's a lot of fun to be had here. Anyway folks, let me know your thoughts and opinions. Otherwise, happy sailing and see you all in New Eden.